As Miles deals with the vampire curse, his girlfriend Tiana is forced to deal with a ghost from her past. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 24 and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, the Vulture, Adrian Toomes, had blown back into the life of his granddaughter Tiana unexpectedly. Starling, to her credit, stands very firm to what she had said to her grandfather before, and that is she wanted nothing more to do with him once she realized that he was a multi-time murderer. Vulture tries as hard as he can to plead his case that she doesn't know the whole story, that everything she's been told about him has been twisted and manipulated by that damn dastardly Spider-Man. Well, technically Spider-Men, but still. Tiana doesn't want to hear it though. She remains resolute, saying that she's a grown woman who can make up her own mind and that she's not so weak-willed and stupid that a guy in spandex could ever hope to lie to her. Vulture says that he wants nothing more than to try and put her on game about what it really means to exist in this crazy, costumed world, and that he's been around Spider-Man, multiple Spider-Men, long enough to know that despite their big talk about power and responsibility, at the end of the day it's always the people closest to them, their loved ones, who end up suffering because of their double lives as heroes. I mean, mainly because of people like Adrian Toomes, but hey, that's a conversation for another day. Also, hey, you know what? This really applies more to Spider-Man Peter than Spider-Man Miles, who's still young but has already managed to make great strides to be a more emotionally intelligent and open web swinger. Adrian vows to free his granddaughter from the thrall of Spider-Man and then even turns his back on her, even though he knows full well that Tiana's pointing a loaded gun at him, almost as if he's challenging her to pull the trigger, using her own sense of morality against her, knowing full well that she would never actually bust a cap in his ass, even though he does kinda deserve it. It's also at that very moment, in a grim twist of irony, Miles ends up showing up. Naturally, he assumes that the Vulture is here to attack Tiana, and as such, he swoops on in to defend her. The only problem is, as we learned in the last issue, every time Miles taps into his bioelectrical powers, he ends up burning away his protection from the vampire's curse and giving in just a little bit more to feral bloodlust. This means despite his best efforts, Miles basically ends up proving everything Toomes had just said to be correct as he unleashes an unholy ass-whooping on the geriatric Birdman. The worst part too is that Tiana has no idea about the whole Miles being a vampire thing. He had actually come there that night to try and explain all of this to her. But now she's forced to watch her boyfriend, in an absolute fugue state, almost damn near murder her grandfather, of whom she has very complicated feelings about. Hell, a minute ago she was telling him to go to hell and pulled a gun on him, but Miles beats the Vulture up so bad even she feels that she needs to get on in there and help him back up. In the end though, Adrian vows not to stick around. Instead, he activates a flashbang, allowing him to escape. Though don't worry, that's certainly not the last we're going to see of him. With the Vulture gone, Miles and Tiana end up having a big knockdown, drag-out argument wherein all the little cracks in their relationship start becoming bigger fissures, like, hey man, you've been depressed since this Cody Ziegler run started. I was the one who told you to go to therapy. I've been the one who's been your sounding board and your shoulder to cry on. And yet the second I have a problem, you come on in full dick swinging and end up making the problem 100 times worse. Again, keep in mind, Tiana doesn't actually know that Miles is a vampire, though she does end up learning pretty quickly. Also, hey too, I should probably mention this panel has already gone super viral on the internet, as during the argument, Tiana basically sucks her teeth and says, man, this, and the word is censored, but it's very clear what she's saying. And a lot of fans, I know fans of my own too, have been asking the question, geez, do you think Ziegler told the editors what the word was he wanted to say right here? Or do you think he lied, knowing full well that the true fans who love and have been following this story would know full well what Tiana was saying here in a moment of anger? In the end, Miles ends up getting saved by the bell in this argument by Misty Knight, giving him a holo call saying that she may very well have tracked down a lead in curing Miles's vampirism before it's all too late. And hey, you know what? Hats off for good characterization, because even though they were fighting, even though they weren't seeing eye to eye a minute ago, Starling is actually able to put her own problems aside long enough to suit up and join Miles on this brand new mission. And I mean, isn't that so nice to see a couple actually fight but not just break up? God, there are so many other books out there that I will not name that could very easily learn from this, I tell you. Now, by the time Spider-Man and Starling manage to make it to Misty Knight's HQ, she's not alone, as she she is joined by Keisha Kwan, aka Doc Sasquatch's niece, who, surprise, surprise, she is absolutely insanely tall when not on a holo call herself. Starling even says, "Geez, lady, we gotta get you out of the lab and on the court." It seems that Kwan has been doing some research and she's come to one heck of a revelation. Everything that her and her uncle have managed to learn about the vampirism problem and how it's connected to Miles' own bioelectricity and how if untreated it could kill him is really only one side of a much bigger problem, mainly the scientific side. Keep in mind, this whole vampirism thing isn't just biological, it's also deeply magical. And to try and find an answer for this magical problem, Misty Knight has decided to dig deep into her own Rolodex and recruit the help of Black Panther T'Challa, because hey, after all, he was bitten by Varney too. And yet after much struggling over in the Black Panther tie-in, he managed to get himself back to normal, and now he plans to do the same for Miles, hoping that he too will undergo all the trials and tribulations himself. But oh wait, we're not done yet, because as the comic comes to a close, we check back on in with Adrian Toomes, now more emboldened than ever, to end the life of Miles Morales Spider-Man and save his granddaughter, and to do it, Toomes has decided to upgrade. Well, mainly he gets a brand new costume, he upgrades his fashion. And I gotta say, I actually like the new suit. It's mostly a bunch of small changes. He's got the movie-adjacent goggles now, he's changed his jacket. And if this is gonna be his new suit moving forward as the comic comes to an end, I can certainly dig it. And so that was Miles Morales Spider-Man issue number 24, everybody, and overall I thought this one was another really solid offering from Cody Ziegler. As I said before, I wasn't sure about the whole Miles staying a vampire post-blood hunt story concept, but they're really running with the idea and making it super fascinating by showing how it impacts not just Miles, but the lives of everyone around him. And I mean, hey, if this story can end with a Black Panther crossover, I mean, hey, why the hell not? Let's do it up. It's also kind of fun, too, to see Miles fighting more classic Peter foes, and yet doing so in a completely different way that manages to shock not only him, but the villains in general. Vulture was just straight up gobsmacked to see Spider-Man with a sword. And hey, this book already managed to do some surprisingly great stuff with Scorpion, a Spider-Man villain that the main Amazing book wasn't really tripping over itself to use, so yeah, you know what, sign me up for some Vulture goodness, I say. Overall, I would give this one a very positive 8 out of 10. The Miles Morales Spider-Man book under Cody Ziegler continues to deliver, continues to impress, and it's why it's one of my favorite books on the shelf right now. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.